Hi, Falcons. I'm here to take you through lesson 8.2 in math today, and that is multiplication and division facts with multiples of 10. And so the mental math that we had with this lesson, we really can't do on the screen. So I'm just going to say to you guys, learn those multiplication facts. If you don't know them through your 10s already, learn them. Be working on that. It's going to make everything so much easier. And then if you know your multiplication, all you have to do is turn them around and you know your division too. All right, so let's get started with our math message. The field day racetrack is 80 meters long. What's the distance that the racers will travel if they run the track 8 times? So let's think about the information we have here. If they're going to run the track 8 times, okay, and each time they run, it is 80 meters. All right, so that would be our number model for that. And so I'm going to go ahead and give you the answer, and then I'm going to show you some different ways that we figure that out. So the answer would be 640 meters. Okay. Now, how can we figure that out? And I'm going to start with the least efficient method and move on to the most efficient. Now remember, you want your work to be efficient. You get into a test taking situation, you want that work to be efficient. So what could I do? First of all, I could add 80 8 times. Okay, I just do 80. Okay, so all my zeros, and then 8 and 8 would be 16. 8 and 8 would be 16. 16, 16, 32. Another set, 8 and 8 is 16, 16, so 32. So 32 and 32 would be 64. Okay, so it's 640. That is one way I can do it. Just go back to my adding. What else can I do? If I have 8 groups of 80, I can put those into pairs. So I could do 80 plus 80, 80 plus 80, 80 plus 80, 80 plus 80. So I would have 4 pairs. All right, so 80 and 80 is 160. So then I could add 164 times for each of those groups, pairs. So 12 and 12 is 24. Carry my 2, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So again, I get 640 meters. Okay, I could use doubling. Okay, I could do 2 times 80 equals 160. So 4 times 80 equals 160 and 160, which is 320. That's 4 of my 8, so I need to do another group. So that's why we get the doubling twice. So we get 2 plus 2 is 4, 3 plus 3 is 6, 640 meters again. I could round. Okay, I could round the 80 to the nearest 100, which would be 100. And I would have 8 of those. So 8 times 100 equals 800. Now, this was 20 meters less every time they went around. So I would have to do 8 times that 20 meters, which is going to equal 160. And I could subtract that. And so we have to make this 10, which makes this 7. So 10 minus 6 is 4. 7 minus 1 is 6. Okay. And I could do knowing my basic facts. So if I know 8 times 8 equals 64, then this is times 10. I get 640 meters. And that is the fastest and most efficient way we would do that. Okay, so multiples of 10. What is a multiple of 10? Multiples are where it would be a number represented by an equal group of tens. So in that problem, the 80 was my multiple of 10. It would be 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100, 110, 120, 130, 140, 150, and on and on. Okay, so that's what a multiple of 10 is. All right, so real quickly here, let me review your shorthand for the base 10 blocks. All right, so this would be a flat, and that equals 100. This would be a long, and that equals 10. And this would be a cube, which equals 1. All right, so we're going to use those base 10 blocks to help us find our answers here. So that's a review of that. So if I had the problem of 2 times 30, what does that mean? Okay, so I have two groups of 30. Okay, so I could represent that with my base 10 blocks. Here's a group of 30, three longs, and another group of 30. So how many tens do I have in one group? I have 3 tens, and I can write that this way, putting that tens in brackets. Okay, so in two groups, if I put those together, then I now have how many tens? I have 6 tens, and 6 tens equals, get my other bracket on there, equals 60. Okay, so the multiple of 10 in that case would have been my 30. All right, so if I look at this, okay, so what is 2 times 3? Two groups of 3, that is 6. Okay, so if I do my 2 times 3 again, I still have 6, and now I'm going to do times my 10, which makes it 60. With 2 times 300, I can still do my basic fact of 2 times 3, which equals 6. And I can either multiply it by 10 and by 10 again, or I could say 6 times 100, because I have my 2 zeros there to make that a 300. So then that would make it 600. Okay? So let's look at a journal page. And you know, the reason these are so dark is because I can't print them. So I have to take a picture of my screen and then print that. So this is the one we just looked at. So we said 2 times 3 equals 6. And if I were going to show that with my base 10 blocks, that would be, okay, and we said that equaled 6. If I was going to do the 2 times 30, 6 longs, okay, 2 groups of 3 longs, and that equaled 60. If I was going to do my 2 times 300, get into my tape there. All right, so I would have 100, 200, 300, 400, 500, 600. All right. Now you notice how when I use my basic fact, I get the 2 times 3 equals 6. When I did 2 times 30, my 30 is 10 times 3. So my product is going to be 10 times the product I had in the beginning. And when I do the 2 times 300, 300 is 100 times the 3. All right, so my product is going to be 100 times as much as it was in the beginning. So let's look at another set here. This is 3 times 5. So if I was going to do that with my base 10 blocks, I would have 3 groups of 5 blocks. Okay, and if you line them up by 5s and 10s, it makes them a lot easier to count them in the long run too. So I would have 5, 10, 15. Okay, if I was going to do 3 times 50, then I would have my longs. And again, having those in groups of 5 or 10 makes it a whole lot easier. So I would have 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100, 110, 120, 130, 140, 150. Okay, and if I was going to do 3 times 500, so then I would have 1, 2, 3, 4, 500, 6, 7, 8, 9, 1000 or 1000, 11, 12, 13, 14, 1500, 1500. Okay, so again, 5 times 10 is 50, so 15 times 10 is 150. And 5 times 100 is the 500, so 100 times 15 is my 1500 response there. So what do we notice about those? They always continue getting bigger. If I'm, multiplying that by 10 or by 100, that makes them bigger. So my product is going to become bigger. Okay, let's look at a few more. All right, so let's be thinking about the basic facts that we can use to help us solve this problem. So if we have 5 times 70, what would my basic fact be for that equation? I would have 5 times 7. And 5 times 7 equals 35. So 5 times 70, I'm going to have my basic fact right there, 35 times 10. 350. How did we solve that? I'm not going to take the time to write it because we just kind of went through that. I used my basic fact of 5 times 7 and then multiplied that times 10. Okay. What about 8 times 30? What is the basic fact that I can use to help me solve that? 8 times 3. And 8 times 3 is 24. Okay, so 8 times 3 is 24 times 10, 240. All right, let's do 6 times 8. Our basic fact is 6 times 80, 6 times 8 is my basic fact, and that equals 48. So 6 times 8 is 48, times my 10 is 480. All right, I'm going to give you an example of a division, and then we'll come back and do those last two problems. All right, so switch back to the right pen here. If we had 210 divided by 3 equals our unknown. Okay, so if I make that with base 10 blocks, I would use my 2 flats for my hundreds, so 200, and then a 10. Now, I can't divide that evenly by 3, so I'm going to have to trade these out for 10 longs, 10 tens. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And my second one, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and my one more. All right, so I need to divide that by 3. Okay, so I'm going to make 3 groups. And I'm just going to start putting longs into my group. Remember, these are not tally marks now. They're longs, okay? So I'm going to move 1, 2, 3. Mark those guys out. Do another set. Do another set. Do another set. So that'll be 1 from this one and 2 from this group. All right, keep going. I've still got enough to keep going. And let's do another one. And my last one. Okay, so I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 longs. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So if I divide 210 by 3, I get 7 longs, which are tens. So 7 tens, which equals 70. So 210 divided by 3 equals 70. So again, going back to that basic fact, I could say what times 3 is going to equal 21. Okay. And then I would need my multiply that by 10 to get my 210. So 7 times 3 is 21. So 70 times 3 is going to be 210. So let's go back to this other page here and do the ones that we had there. So we have 320 divided by 4. So what is my basic fact that I can use to help me with that? 32 divided by 4. Okay, so what times 4 equals 32? It is 8. Okay, so then 320 divided by 4 is going to be that 8, and then times my 10. So 80. All right, and this last one is 540 divided by 6. So my basic fact is going to be 54 divided by 6. My basic, and I'll go write that here, 54 divided by 6 equals. All right, so again, here I could use subtracted group to solve this, okay? Because I know that 10 times 6 is going to be 60. 54 is 60 minus 6. So 9 times 6 is 54. All right. So for 540, I still got my 54 divided by 6, which was 9, times my 10, 90. Okay. So I want to take a minute or two to show you how this looks like with our fact families here. So this would have been your home links page. So let's look at this. Remember again that the dot up here tells me this is the product, okay? So I have 8 times something equals 160. So I know that 8 times 2 is 16. So 8 times 20 is 160. So my fact family would be 8 times 20 equals 160. 20 times 8 equals 160. 160 divided by 8 equals 20, and 160 divided by 20 equals 8. And for this one, I need to find that product. So I have 9 times 30 equals, well, 9 times 3 is 27. So times that 10 would be 270. So 9 times 30 equals 270. 30 times 9 equals 270. 270 divided by 30 equals 9. And 270 divided by 9 equals 30. So I can do my fact families with that as well. All right, so this just shows you a way using multiples of 10 that you can use those basic facts to help you solve a problem, and it makes it much, much more efficient. All right, I will see you next time. Have a good day.